For those that don't know me, hi, I'm Jacob and I'm on a journey to financial freedom. I started this journey about a year ago now, reselling old and used furniture for a profit, and more recently have even launched my first business, Journey's Junk Removal and Hauling. If you want to see what it took to get the business started, check this video out right here. In it, we explain everything we needed to do before we launched and started taking on jobs. Stuff like making t-shirts, getting a logo designed, and even finding a starter trailer for the business. Because of all that work we did on the back end, I am proud to say that we have landed and completed our first junk removal job for our new business. And it went extremely well. So without further ado, this is how it went. So I was scrolling through Facebook one day when I came across this post asking if anybody out there was willing to remove their pool because it collapsed in on themselves. They wanted to get a new one, but didn't want to deal with the hassle of removing it themselves. So I immediately replied with a flyer I had made a couple days prior to this, and I also said I'd be happy to come out and give you a free quote. And with patience and virtue, I waited for a reply. But I didn't have to wait long because it was the next day they gave me a call and they asked when I could come out and give them an estimate. And I told them, I'll come today. So the second I got off work, I threw on the business uniform and I ran over there. Not really ran, but I drove over there. Unfortunately, I don't have any footage of the pool when I went to go look at it, but here's a photo that was posted on Facebook. Now, with this being my first junk job, I wasn't exactly sure what to quote it at, but I did feel like anywhere from $350 to $450 was a pretty comfortable range. And looking at the pool and how long it might take, I felt like somewhere within that range would be a pretty fair price. So I ended up just meeting in the middle and said I can do it for $400. And without hesitation, they said, okay, when can you come back to remove it? After we agreed upon a time that worked for both of us, I left to go get everything I needed for the job and prep everything to make sure this job went smoothly. To be honest, we really didn't need much for this job. The only thing that we really needed tool-wise was a pair of $20 tin snips. Other than that, I had to draft up a service agreement and an invoice for the customer to sign prior to us even starting the job. That way we're just legally covered in case something happens. I also decided to hire some outside help because I felt like this first job would be a little bit easier with someone else there. I'm sure I could have done it by myself, but again, I just wanted to make the first job go very smoothly. So this is my buddy Caleb. He helped me with the removal. If you're watching this, thanks again, man. Really appreciate it. Shout outs to Caleb in the comments for helping your boy out. So the day came to remove the pool, and to be honest, I was a little bit nervous. I knew it wouldn't be hard and we could probably knock it out within an hour or so, but I was absolutely drained. Keep in mind, I flip furniture on the side and I still have a 9-to-5 on top of that. This was also right before move out season at my 9-to-5, and with that came a lot of 10, 14-hour days, and there was a lot of preparation we had to do building up to that, so it was pretty stressful at work. But besides all of that stress, we still showed up, made a game plan, and started tackling this removal. And with permission of the homeowner, I was able to record it for you guys. So we started by going around the perimeter of the pool and cutting off all of the liner that was attached to the sheet metal exterior. And while Caleb was taking the support posts to the truck, I started cutting the sheet metal and rolling it up. We decided it'd be easier to remove in multiple sections, so we cut it again, set that piece to the side, and flattened it down. We then cut and set aside 2 more pieces of the sheet metal's exterior and started working on the liner. The liner itself still had a little bit of water in it, so we folded it over top of itself and then cut a hole in it to drain all of that old water out. And let me tell you, if you've ever been fishing or on a fisherman's boat, that's exactly what that water smelled like, and we got covered in it the whole time we were doing this job. Draining the water just made it a lot easier when we went to drag it to the trailer. Well, that, and we also cut the liner into 2 separate pieces. Looking back on it, I probably should have brought a trash can and a dolly and just wheeled all of that liner off in a trash can instead of just dragging it on the ground. It might have looked a little unprofessional, but again, this is the first time I'm doing this. I've never removed a pool before, neither has my buddy Caleb. We kind of just figured it out as we went, but hey, you live and you learn, right? right? We both definitely learned a lot from this experience. We cleaned up some of the smaller pieces, and I even grabbed some of the wet leaves that were laying around just because I wanted it to look a little bit nicer for the customer. And while I was doing that, Caleb started stacking some of the bricks that were around the exterior of the pool. I don't think the customer really cared too much about a small pile of leaves that was sitting there, but I believe it's the small things that count, and hopefully that just made a better impression on the customer, even though it was something so small and they probably wouldn't have noticed it. We finished stacking up all the bricks and then took the rest of the pool out to the trailer. After we were done, we ended up with this, a nice clear spot for the customer to install a new pool. And just for reference, this is what it looked like before and after. Again, that's before and after. The customer was extremely pleased with the work we did and our eye for detail, and was impressed on how fast we were able to remove it. Looking back at the camera footage, it only took us about 45 minutes to completely remove that pool. And honestly, I thought it was gonna take about at least an hour. So I mean, the fact that we were under my guesstimate is pretty awesome. Now it's time to talk about the payment. We did give the customer multiple payment options, and they decided to pay by credit card. I offered this option because I felt like it would be a bit more convenient for the customer. The only oversight that I did have was the app that I used. I didn't realize the app took a small fee anytime you received a payment or transferred it to your bank. So we did end up charging them $400 for the job. After all the fees, we ended up with $380, which I'd have to say is not bad considering it took under an hour to do, minus all the work we did on the back end and the fact that we still have to take it to the dump. For those wondering what app I used an app called Square. Super easy to use, super easy to set up, but if you do use this app in any way, make sure to be aware of those fees and charge accordingly, because I did not, and we lost out on $20. Granted, wasn't much, but you know, still just, yeah, charge accordingly. I ended up having to go to the dump a different day because they weren't open after we completed the job, and they're also not open when I get off work, so I ended up having to go on my lunch break that following Monday, the same day we started turn season. So needless to say, I was extremely exhausted that day. Actually, that whole week I was pretty exhausted, but super easy. I just backed up my trailer, let the gate down, and pulled it all off. Here's footage of me doing that. Almost forgot my phone. Yeah, I know, I almost forgot my phone. And I know what you're all thinking, why didn't I take all that metal to the scrapyard? Because I was extremely exhausted. Almost forgot my phone. Didn't get a lot of sleep, and we were extremely busy. I really wasn't worried about that extra $20 I may have gotten for that sheet metal, so I just took it to the dump. If someone picks through the dump, they got it, good for them. They got like maybe 20 bucks. So in the end, where did this leave us profit-wise? Again, after fees, we ended up getting $380 for the job itself. The only other expense we had was that set of $20 tin snips. There wasn't a dump fee because I used the local community dump, which is free. We're not always gonna be able to use that dump because technically you're not allowed to use it for commercial purposes, which I know might seem a little scummy, but with this being our first job, I really kind of wanted to just feel it out, and I didn't want to just tack on a huge another expense or charge them like an extreme amount just to remove the pool. If you're wondering, the dump fees here are $180 minimum. Yeah. So I would have had to charge them an additional $180. And I felt like if I did that for the first chance we have at a job, they probably would have said no. I tried to pay my buddy for helping out with the job, and he would not take it. He said, "Hey man, you paid me with a new experience. I'm not worried about it. We're good." So again, give my buddy some love down in the comments because he really helped me out and was extremely humble about it. And we both got to experience something new, which was just awesome. And again, Caleb, if you're watching this, I know you are, thanks. I appreciate it. Yeah. After all that, our grand total comes to $360 for the day. After adding that to our channel's net worth, our new total comes to $8,628, bringing us that much closer to that $10,000 mark. So if you want to see me hit that mark, hit that subscribe button down below because we got plenty more flipping and junk removal videos coming soon. And if you're new to the channel, make sure to check this video out here where we make an insane profit reselling used auction items. But besides all that, I really do appreciate your time and thank you so much for watching today's episode. I will see you in the next one where we may or may not have more items to flip. So, peace.